Hello, everyone. My name is Naheem Noah. I'm a fourth-year PhD student at the University of Denver. I'll be presenting our work titled From Pins to Gestures, Analyzing Knowledge-Based Authentication Schemes for Augmented and Virtual Reality. This work is done in collaboration with and under the supervision of Dr. Sanchari at George Mason University. Authentication in AR/VR presents unique challenges as traditional 2D methods don't translate well to spatial and interactive environment. Knowledge-based authentication remains well suited for AR/VR due to its flexibility and ability to leverage spatial capabilities. Evaluating these schemes requires considering security, usability, and effectiveness altogether. In our work, we present a framework integrating effectiveness, security, and usability for AR/VR authentication, enabling consistent evaluation across schemes. Unlike prior quality surveys, our study technically evaluates 17 knowledge-based authentication schemes with concrete performance metrics. We also adapted Bonneau et al.'s framework for AR/VR, accessing security and usability properties within the immersive environment. These are the research questions that we ought to answer. For methodology, we perform scheme collection and scheme evaluation. For the scheme collection, we follow the Prisma framework, following 4 key stages. We conducted initial search across 4 major databases: ACM, Digital Library, Science Direct, IEEE, Explore, and SpringerLink. The initial search returned 1,247 papers. We focused on peer-reviewed papers that are written in English language, and focusing on knowledge-based authentication in AR/VR environments. We excluded traditional PIN schemes and popular swipe mobile device authentication systems. After screening, we narrowed the pool to 183 papers, and a full text review further reduced it to 50. Now, for the rest of the paper, we had selection criteria that must be met. First, the paper must explore authentication effectiveness using metrics such as accuracy score and others. The paper must explore security evaluations using metrics such as entropy level and others. The paper must explore usability evaluation using metrics such as enrollment time and others. After the paper went through the selection material, we had 10 papers remaining, and they covered about 17 schemes, which had 5 major input modalities, which include gaze-based authentication, gestures-based authentication, PIN-based authentication, spatial-based authentication, and recognition-based authentication. After selecting the 10 papers, we also perform a backward reference search to check the citations and references. For methodology, again, this is an overview of the framework that we use. We have the 5 authentication input modalities. We have the 4 security evaluation metrics. We have the 4 usability evaluation metrics and the 4 effectiveness evaluation metrics. We also have 6 metrics from Bonneau security framework and 6 metrics from Bonneau's usability framework. For the scheme details, we have 3 gaze-based authentication in terms of the input modality for the 17 schemes. We had 3 gesture-based, we had 9 PIN-based, we had 1 spatial-based authentication, and 1 recognition-based authentication. Please find more details on how enrollment and authentication works in these schemes in our paper. For the effectiveness comparison, majority of the evaluated authentication scheme have missing or unreported effectiveness data, and we had about 66% of that, while about 19% had basic compliance and about 15% meet exceptional performance. Success rates and accuracy score were mostly reported. More details regarding other metrics can be found in our paper. Our takeaways from the effectiveness analysis is that PIN-based methods such as RubikAuth exhibit highest accuracy and usability. Gesture-based methods such like the beats PIN and the spatial-based room lock, they showed strong security potential, while gaze-based authentication struggles with accuracy and usability. For our security comparison, most data point, about 71%, were now reported. About 18% had basic compliance, and about 12% had exceptional compliance. Entropy levels and shoulder softening or observational attack were mostly explored. More details regarding other metrics can be found in our paper. The biggest takeaways for us in the security comparison is that bit spin provides the strongest theoretical security with about 140 bit entropy. Gaze-based variants, specifically the closed eyes and room lock, which is a spatial-based authentication, they excel at resisting shoulder softening attack. In terms of usability comparison, we had about 65 unreported cases, while we had 11% basic compliance and about 24% exceptional compliance. And enrollment time and authentication time were the most explored. In fact, authentication time was explored 16 out of the 17 schemes. More details regarding other metrics can be found in our paper. Now, based on our usability comparison, we found out that RubikAuth, which is a pin-based authentication input model, is the fastest authentication method. And Things, which is recognition-based, has slowest authentication time with 32 seconds. Spatial authentication room lock offers good memorability, but they require a lot of cognitive effort. For perceived security and usability, 76% of unreported cases were found. Basic compliance was about 12% and exceptional compliance was about 12%. The system usability score and perceived security, shoulder softening, ease of use, and future recommendations were mostly reported. 10 out of 17 schemes actually reported future recommendations. Our takeaways are voice-based PIN and recognition-based TIN scheme received the best usability rating. Users felt that the TIN scheme was the most secure against shoulder softening. In-Air-Handwriting scored highest for perceived usability and memorability. Some methods like free-form gaze scored poorly in ease of use and security perception. And RubikAuth variants, despite their high accuracy, they had lower user recommendation scores. Now, this is a chart showing the distribution of the security and usability criterion across the schemes based on the Bonneau et al. Framework. 2 schemes met all 12 criterion, which are the TIN scheme by the Rayan et al. And we had Mattis et al. Controller tapping. We also had 4 schemes that met 11 criterion, and we had 3 schemes that met 10 criterion. And the criterion that were met by all schemes, we have the scalable for users, while we also have efficient to use. The scalable for users means that all schemes work across the AR/VR environment. Efficient to use means that the authentication can be completed in 1 minute. For takeaways, most schemes are scalable, efficient, and require no additional devices. Bitspin is the only scheme that requires an external device, the use of a smartwatch. Gesture-based and spatial schemes tend to require more effort and learning. TIN schemes and pin-based variants, including GlassPass, and GTalker, perform best in usability. In-Air-Handwriting had the most usability challenges because it's physically demanding, harder to learn, and has higher error rates. Based on the security analysis, we found that all schemes ensure explicit user content and are resilient to theft. Teens and room lock perform best in overall security. RubikAuth and gaze-based method offer stronger resistance to observation and impersonation attacks. Pin-based method generally perform weaker against guessing and impersonation attacks. Looking at all the input methods that we looked at in our analysis, for gaze-based authentication, they offer hands-free interaction and eye shoulder softening resistance, but they have lower accuracy and success rate, and they have slower authentication time. For gesture-based, they have natural interactions, eye security based on the entropy, but they're very vulnerable to shoulder softening and require physical effort from the users. Pin-based, they're familiarized by users. A lot of people know about how it works. They have fast authentication times, but they have lower security compared to other methods. Spatial based, they have high memorability and they are resistant to attacks, but they have also a lot of cognitive effort that's required and longer authentication times. For recognition-based games, they have high system usability score and strong memorability, but they have slow authentication time. Most schemes align with usability criteria but require improvement in error handling. Security varies. Many methods resist theft and require explicit content, but only about 50% resist guessing or impersonation. Pin-based schemes are fast and easy to learn, but weaker against security threats. Recognition-based games and spatial-based games perform best in balancing usability and security. More hybrid approaches are needed to fully align with usability and security standards. Future authentication methods should integrate multiple input types for enhanced security and usability. Context-aware authentication will provide better user adaptation in AR/VR environments. Reducing authentication time and effort is crucial for seamless, immersive experiences. Standardized evaluation and real-world testing are necessary for validating new approaches. What are the limitations of work? There's incomplete data reporting across the papers that we gathered. There's lack of standardized evaluation. Most studies were conducted in lab settings, so there's limited real-world applicability. No longitudinal studies to access long-term memorability. For future work, there's a need to develop cross-modal and hybrid authentication. There's a need to establish standardized evaluation protocols. There's a need to conduct real-world and longitudinal testing to enhance observation at attack resistance, optimize for AR/VR hardware constraint. Thank you. Scan to read our preprint and reach out to us for more questions.